industry was always fragmented. I feel that the really great teachers, the really like the tippity top, there's an intuition.
Clients' expectations of what they expect at studios is changing.
I don't think anyone remembers this, but like 25 years ago, Pilates was totally out. I'm a studio owner, I'm a teacher, I'm the social media person. I know everything that's going on in every facet of my business because I see my business as me.
Welcome to the Pilates Journal Podcast. Each episode, we sit down with the educators, studio owners, founders, and industry leaders helping shape the future of Pilates. Today's guest is Maria Leone, and Maria has been teaching for decades. As the creator of the Bodyline Method, she has worked with clients, instructors, and studios throughout a career that continues to evolve. Today, we're talking about longevity, what it actually takes to build a successful and sustainable career in Pilates. Maria, it's great to have you here.
It's nice to see you, as always, CJ.
I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I'm going to jump straight in. Maria, you built a long and successful career in Pilates. Looking back, what do you think has contributed most to your longevity in the industry?
Gosh, well, I was born a mover and a teacher. I started teaching at the age of 14, not Pilates, obviously. Got introduced to Pilates at 18, then went into opening my own business, then martial arts, then yoga. So I think it's really my insatiable curiosity about movement, just broadly. Now, Pilates happens to be how I'm making a living, but I could easily shift to teaching bar, teaching sculpt, teaching yoga, teaching martial arts. So I really, if there's one thing that defines me, is that I like to move.
I absolutely love that. And I love that curiosity is at the center of everything you do, which, you know, as you said, across broad modalities, there's a commonality there, but also in Pilates, that's what is sometimes something that keeps us as lifelong learners in the method as well. It's a really interesting insight. Pilates is also bigger than ever, as you well know. You see it every day, but it's also feeling potentially more fragmented than ever before. Do you think that's true?
To be honest, the industry was always fragmented. Like a lot of you are new to the field and you were not in the days of, if you were not classically trained by a certain handful of teachers, you absolutely did not teach Pilates. So I was teaching Pilates during that time and I was called out often for not being a real Pilates instructor. So it was always fragmented, but yes, I think that we're more aware that the industry is fragmented now. And I really dislike that there are so many people just given authority because they make good social media. And so people that haven't been around, they haven't really experienced the ebb and flow of this industry are suddenly in a position of authority, just handed to them by followers. And so their opinions coming into the mix begins to make more fragmentation. And then, of course, all the hybrid forms of Pilates, the reformer, the fitness, all the manufacturers getting into the business of Pilates. So definitely the business of Pilates is creating more fragmentation. That's how I feel. But it was kind of always there, even when we were just a bunch of mom and pop studios.
It's a really interesting insight. And it's great to hear that as well, because I think the industry does tend to talk as if this is potentially one of the first significant steps or witnessing this fragmentation. But to your point, you're kind of saying it's always been there.
Oh my gosh. I remember going to a meeting, like a PMA meeting, which is like the governing board here in the US, one of the very first ones. And it was classical people arguing with contemporary teachers about, I don't know, where your toes are going to be on the foot bar or something. And I was like, hello, there's this thing in LA, this guy named Legree, and it's coming for you. And they're selling Pilates like $100 a month, unlimited. Like, let's forget about all this because this is coming. That was probably 25 years ago.
Phenomenal.
25 years ago. Yeah. Because I'm in the heart of it, and everything kind of, not everything, but a lot of things in the fitness world start here. So yes, it has always been there.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And then, when we think about a career in Pilates, I think it's really interesting to sort of unpack, what do instructors think a career in Pilates will be versus actually what it requires? What's your view on this?
I think the thought that you can get a high hourly wage for doing something, right? Like, it's not like you're not starting at minimum wage. You're starting at a much, our services are expensive. And so the idea that you could work for a couple of hours and be paid like at a higher wage and have a flexible job, like I can work 3 hours here and 3 hours there. I think a lot of people come to it. I think a lot of teachers come into our industry because they think, oh, it's wellness and it's flexible and it's a high hourly wage. What they don't realize is that to actually sustain a career, to have a steady book of business, man, it takes a lot of effort and chutzpah and conviction and belief. It's not so easy peasy. It's a little easier right now. It has been a little bit easier. It has definitely been easier the past 5 years. But
why is it easier in the last 5 years?
Oh, because of this bubble. Because Pilates is all over social media, and Pilates has grown to mean this, which I don't think is a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. When my daughter, who's 21, said, "Hey, Ma, all my friends are doing Pilates." I was like, what? 20-year-olds are doing Pilates? This is crazy. Like, it's crazy to me.
So Maria, tell me, what separates a good instructor from one that clients stay with for years, in your opinion? It's almost that thing of a good to great philosophy. What makes a teacher great?
So here's the thing. There's a lot of skills required to be a great teacher. So some of it is just passion. Some of it is being able to give a good workout. Some of it is education. A big part of it is your social skills. How do you connect with people in that moment? As you're teaching, are you responsive to the people, whether it's a group or your individual client? Are you able to connect to them? But there's another piece too, which is talent. Like, you can't just be a great Pilates instructor because you love Pilates and because you've learned a lot. I feel that the really great teachers, the really like the tippity top, there's an intuition. Like, they almost know what to do next. Their eye is trained. They see things in the body. They see when a body is holding tension. It's not something that they're taught to do. So I do think that there's this innate connection, this innate ability that some people have. Having said that, you don't need to tick off every box to be very successful in this career. So you can go a really long way, I think, by being charismatic, educated, a passion, and understand movement in a intermediate way. And that will take you like a very long way. But to really come to the top and to have a full book of business for 30 years, there's an actual like innate talent that you either have or you don't have. I know that's not going to be popular, but you know it when you see it, don't you? You know it when you see it, when you're like, oh, and this is something different.
To your point with that, can it be taught? Or is it just innate?
You can only be taught so much. You can only be taught so much, but you might have other skills that can kind of fill in that gap. One of them is just being charismatic and being likable. So
very true.
You can only teach somebody to a certain point. I could take singing lessons all day long, every single day. My singing might get better. I am still not going to be a great singer. I might be an okay singer, but I'm never going to be like a singer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And to your point on this, this is kind of obviously cream of the crop. And a lot of instructors obviously have goals to get to that level at some stage in their career. But why do you think, on the flip side, why do you think talented instructors leave the industry? Because we do see that.
I think there are people that are really, really talented in their mind and in their body, and then they sometimes are lacking the social skills, or they're lacking the business skills, the boundaries. Their boundaries have gotten too wishy-washy, so now they're in relationships with clients that are not really serving their needs. They start to feel like slightly dysfunctional. They become unhappy in their teaching, even though they might be like the most beautiful mover, right? And have a lot of talent. If you don't have that other side of it, if you don't treat it as a business, and have clean boundaries with your clients, you can very quickly get depleted with your clients, right? In some ways, they can start to take out a lot of things on you. So, like I said, it takes a lot of different skills. So yeah, the most talented instructor is not always the most liked instructor, which is funny to me. I operate a little bit differently. So.
And how do you operate differently?
I don't need my relationship with whoever is teaching me movement to be anything else other than the movement. Like, teach me, take me on a journey, I'm good. So for me, it's just about what my experience is in my body. And I want to be pushed. I want to be challenged, not as a person, but as a challenge. Like, I want to be pushed. I want to be challenged. I want my body to feel great. And that's all I need. I don't need small talk. I don't need somebody that looks a particular way. I don't need the studio to be pretty, but I need that reformer to be in very good working order. And I need my reformer to be pristinely clean. But, it's all about, I grew up going to, smelly martial arts studios and dance studios. So it's just really about the movement experience for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason I ask that is obviously, the client's expectations in this sort of modern era of Pilates is changing. That's absolutely changing at the moment. And clients' expectations of what they expect at studios is changing. And it's nice to sort of, be cognizant of the fact that clients will want different things from you, from different teachers, and why they'll gravitate to those teachers because of that. So it's nice to always put that in perspective, so teachers are thinking about that, and educators as well. You've sustained this, this business and what you're doing in your studio at a high level. What has that required behind the scenes that perhaps you haven't spoken about?
A lot of perseverance, a lot of ability and willingness to adapt and change. I pivot quickly. I change what I've done, over the years, I've had to change what I offer in the studio. I don't think anyone remembers this, but like 25 years ago, Pilates was totally out. Totally out. I started teaching Zumba and bar classes at Bodyline. Yeah. And then when COVID came, boom, I was online almost immediately. So you do need to be able to pivot quickly. And I keep my hands in everything. I'm a studio owner. I'm a teacher. I'm the social media person. I know everything that's going on in every facet of my business because I see my business as me. It's a reflection of me, and it's an extension of me. It's like how you set up your home is to be reflected of you. I've set up Bodyline to be reflected of me, not what the market says or what people, it's me. Like, this is me. That's what I'm presenting.
And that comes with a level level of confidence. It's a level of confidence, and being in the industry long enough to have that level of confidence to feel that way, I suppose, as well.
It is confidence. I think I have a very sharp competitive edge. So it's that. And it's also kind of need-based. I was a single mom and I was the breadwinner for my family, right? So I had nothing to fall back on. It's been me, only me the whole time. I'm the only person here, meaning there's no private equity, there's no investor. I bought all these machines one at a time over the years. So it was sort of necessity as well. And I was raised in a middle class, blue collar family. And the ethic was, you worked. There's a definite work ethic that comes with creating this and doing this.
And to your point on that, when you sort of reflect back again, how has your approach changed over time? Where have you needed to pivot? You kind of talked about, moving to bar and Zumba and that sort of thing. But has there been key defining moments where you thought that you've needed to really pivot and shift dramatically?
Oh, for sure. So back to what I said, which is really, I love to move. And I also feel like I could teach almost any movement if I had to. I would throw myself into it and learn it and be able to do it. But, there was that time where I learned to put all my reformers on sliders, where we slid everything to one side of the room so we could do Zumba and bar. Then during COVID, I had a whole bankruptcy plan headed. I was like, okay, worst comes to worst, I file bankruptcy. I can move my couch out of my living room. We can fit 2 or 3 reformers here. There's a little place at the end of the street. I'll take a tiny space, stick three reformers in there, rebrand, and away we go. I was ready if that happened. So I'm always kind of thinking ahead. And yet the through line is I will always be teaching Pilates or something Pilates related, because at the end of the day, I'm not here for the business of it. I'm here because I'm a person that loves to move and I like to teach. I've been doing it. It's who I am. It's what I am. It always has been since the time I was a very little girl. So I'm in this not just because it's a good business idea. This isn't like opening a frozen yogurt place for me. There are a lot of people that approach this like, oh, I'll open frozen yogurt. Oh, dry cleaning, we'll open a bunch of dry cleaners. That's not what this is for me. This really is a reflection of me, who I am, who I want to be, and frankly, how I want to be in the world, in community, with the people around me. What do I have to offer? This is what I have to offer people.
It's almost a higher calling.
It is a higher calling, and I hate saying that because it sounds so like frou-frou,
yes, it
right?
does.
And I'm like,
I totally agree.
I'm so very I'm not like that at all. I'm not like airy-fairy, but I have always felt in my heart that movement has sustained me. And I don't mean my body. I mean through some very hard emotional times. And I always said to people, I don't exercise to lose weight. I exercise to feel good. And I always just felt the more people I could help understand, you are going to feel better when you move, physically, spiritually, yes, the bones and the joints and all that stuff. And the great thing is now there's science that backs that up, right? And back in the day, I was just kind of saying that. And I was like, oh, yeah. But now the science backs it up, the benefits of breath, the benefits of moving. So I do... it is all that for me, but again, it's just very a little uncomfortable for me. You put on this spirituality cloak. It is sacred to me.
in a different way.
Yeah, it is sacred to me, but I don't present this as being sacred, if that makes sense.
Which again, in many ways, by doing that, makes it more accessible to people, that they feel they can step into that space. I know when I went to your studio, must have been over 12 months ago or longer, it definitely felt like a space that anybody could come in and learn from you, learn from your team. It felt like a comfortable space where you would be challenged, where you would get a good workout, but you would also be critically thinking about how you do the movements and why you were doing what you were doing in the space, which is
Because
something, we want to see more of.
Yeah, that's the mind part, the wellness part. And I have very consciously wanted, I always think of this word diversity. And I have always lived in big cities. And what has attracted me to big cities is like the different people, their cultures, their sizes, their shapes, socioeconomic differences. And that's what I like having around me. So in our studio, like we have 80-year-olds in our classes, along with 30-year-olds and professional athletes and lawyers. And I love that all these separate people who maybe their paths wouldn't have crossed. I'm like, even me with a lot of my clients, I'm not in those social circles. My paths would not be crossing with a lot of my clients. But somehow, when people are in the room on a reformer, in their workout clothes, it's like, it just becomes about how you're moving on the machine. And I love that. I love hearing different languages in my studio. Bring it on, bring it on. I love it. I love all that. So
it's stripping it back. It's stripping it back.
Yeah, that is very, very unique to us, I think. And consciously, again, from me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the center and the brand and the face, and really the intent of how you present yourself to the world and the business as well, for sure. No question about it. So stepping back to instructors who are thinking about, well, I want to be in this industry for the next 10 years. What should they be focusing on to keep longevity at the heart of what they do so they can stay in the industry for longer? What are the things they should be focusing on?
It's always going to come back to your education and keeping up your practice. I would also say expose yourself to a bunch of different things. I don't know if just doing the same thing over and over and over is going to serve you to be able to be adaptable and to shift really quickly. Certainly, your foundation should be based on something that is traditional. And I'm not using the word classical, although classical can be a very good base. I don't care to teach in a strict classical tradition, but I still think it gives you a very strong foundation and a method, right? It is a method. There's philosophy, there's ideas, there's biomechanics. So if you have a method of teaching that is rooted in some kind of traditional education, you'll always be able to adapt. But without that base, without that foundation of something, I don't know, then you're just teaching whatever are popular exercises, or you're just trying to rehab people, or you're just only dealing with athletes. I mean, that's just one lane. It's just one lane. And when you have a really strong base,
it gives you more access. It gives you more access and ways to apply it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Strength training is now, getting popular. I think if you really understand Pilates well and you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, well, Joe actually did do a little bit of progressive overload, and you figure out how to, it's not like, oh my God, I can't strength train. You can shift gears really quickly.
That's a really good insight. And I think that shifting gears is part of the culture and the society we're in these days, right?
Oh, absolutely. I've had to shift gears. There was a time, maybe going back 30 years ago, definitely in LA, where everybody was working on these very light springs with so much breath and so much control. I did that for a little bit. I didn't like it, but I did it. Swinging all the way back to now, where now we're talking about strength training and Pilates, right? Mm-hmm. There was the era where nobody wanted muscles. Pilates was the perfect thing for that because we didn't build muscle. But now guess what? Now we want to build muscle. So you can do those two things though. You can do those two things. You can bias the work towards endurance. You can bias the work towards strength. You should know enough to be able to help people with lower back pain and to keep moving their body within a period of time where they have injury. Like there's enough there. You should have enough in your toolkit if you know how to use it well. Like you can get a lot done with a hammer, a saw, and a screwdriver, right? You don't need a zillion tools if you really understand the few tools that you have really well. So it's really that foundation. And so that is not a weekend course. That's a lot of hours. I'm talking about a foundation that was many hours spent learning, repertoire, syllabus, seeing an experienced teacher teach clients, not just pontificate about it, not just talk about exercises, but seeing somebody actually apply those exercises with real clients. Because a lot of people can talk good game, and you don't really know how successful they're being until you watch their clients and see how their clients move. And, so yeah, strong foundation, keep up your practice, keep up your education, and try to find a method in your teaching. Some of you have already been taught that depending on the educator that you went to, but a lot of you haven't.
And I think there's a really good point to that. The method in your teaching is a concept that I'm not sure that everybody's heard about. Obviously, if you've been around a long time, if you've done lots of different longer style courses that have that depth to it, it makes sense to you. But for those other teachers, how do they find that?
I think you need to look for a teacher with a lot of experience who's willing to let you in, because a lot of teachers with a lot of experience, like they're gatekeeping. They're like, yeah, no. I'm not sharing this with you, right? But there's many who are generous. And so perhaps apprenticing with one of those teachers, perhaps taking a job, and yes, you're going to have to take a little bit less money, right? So consider going to a smaller studio where you know there's a really seasoned teacher that you can just be alongside them. I'm really surprised by how many teachers here that work at times that I'm not here. Through osmosis, I hear them saying things that I say. I see them sequencing the way that I sequence. So just being in an environment with seasoned teachers will provide that for you.
It's
What
no
else can I
different
say?
to martial arts, is it? Really?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not unique to Pilates, but it's understanding that and finding those educators that you can continuously learn from.
Yeah, same thing in the yoga industry. Like you go through your yoga certification and then poof, you're lost. And a lot of people are doing it with on-the-job learning, right? So being put into a studio and having been given the skills to figure stuff out on their own. So that's what I try to provide for people that aren't here with me. That's where I kind of start to turn my attention. Like, okay, not everybody can work at Bodyline, right? Not everybody can be here watching at Bodyline. We're small. We don't have space. I can't just open this up and have you all be here observing. But there are ways for you to have close proximity to a teacher and be able to watch them do their craft, see them in the studio, mentorship programs. Gosh, what else can I say, CJ?
I think everything you've said makes a lot of sense. And that's another reason why we'll be launching a mentorship directory soon with yourself and many other incredible educators, to just give people in the industry a resource and an opportunity to find people that they connect with, that they can create those long-term relationships with, so that they can develop their skills. Because it might be a conversation, not straight away, but it might be something 6 months down the track where there's a really enlightening comment that completely changes how you approach your clients. That could be really powerful.
Exactly. And the teachers that have been here, sometimes they'll see me do what to me is just like an everyday thing. And they'll be like, oh my God, I didn't know, blah, 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 blah. Or I'll say, well, why didn't you blah, blah, blah? And it's just like a very ordinary thing for me. But, more and more in today's market, teachers are getting trained, having a little experience, and then ending up on their own. And when you're all by yourself in a studio, it's almost impossible to grow. It's almost impossible to grow. You do need to have that other energy, experienced person to ask questions to hear them teach, to see them in real time. Even what I do on Pilates Anytime, that's just me working out, right? So that's one thing. But how am I applying that in the studio with clients? How am I applying that in the studio when I have, people in my class who don't speak English? What am I doing then? What do I do with a client who's like not listening to me? This happened the other day in the studio. There was a client that absolutely was not listening to me. And I had apprentices watching. And finally, I walked over, I was like, no. You do not touch those springs unless I tell you. And I said it just like that, like with a finger. But it got to that point because I was like, she's going to fall off this machine if I don't really put the brakes on. So.
And it's all those years of experience that give you the confidence to know when you need to lean in and get that person to connect when they're just somewhere else entirely. Absolutely. Last question for you. If you could change one thing about the industry right now, what would it be?
Oh, that's an easy question, CJ. I would love it if we could just define ourselves. Yoga does it, right? There's yin yoga, there's Ashtanga yoga, there's power yoga. So look, no judgment. But if you're teaching reformer fitness, just say that's what you're doing. If you're teaching classical Pilates, they're all saying what they're doing. But I'm teaching classical Pilates. Okay, that's what you offer. If you're teaching rehab reformer, like rehabilitation, that's what you're offering. And then I guess the last category would be a little bit broad, which would be contemporary Pilates. But I think if we had 3 or 4 labels, at least 3 or 4 lanes, it would take a lot of confusion out of the marketplace. If I went to a yoga class and suddenly we're up dancing around and then getting down on a mat and stretching and then jumping up and doing a HIIT workout and then getting down and doing Pilates mat exercises, I would not be happy. Because when I go to a yoga studio, I expect it to be a yoga class, not all the other things. I don't want to be using weights in my yoga class. I can do that at my house. I go to yoga for yoga. So I think that would really help the industry a lot. Just a couple of lanes. That's what I would wish for.
I think it's an amazing insight and a conversation that's most certainly happening across the industry. People want to have more definition and defined lanes, and it will be easier for clients to also navigate what they're looking for from different studios as well.
Yeah,
Maria,
sure.
Thank you so much for your time. It's always fantastic to chat to you. I know we'll do this again. Thank you so much.
I'm sure we will too.
And everyone will see you in Miami as well. We're looking forward to it in Miami.
Yes, I am looking forward to it as well. It's been a long time since I've been on that side of the country, so I'm looking forward to it too. It was great fun the first time around, guys. Don't miss out.
Thanks for listening to the Pilates Journal podcast. Our goal with this podcast is simple: to bring together the conversations and ideas and people helping to shape the future of the Pilates industry. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone in the industry. For more in-depth interviews and industry insights, visit pilatesjournal.com and subscribe for free to the Pilates Journal. Until next time, thanks for being a part of the conversation.